Okay. Good afternoon, students. In earlier class, I have done the Elixir of Life written by C.V. Raman, in which we have seen the various ways how water has played a vital role in building up man's life on earth. We have almost completed 5 paragraphs. Now it's the sixth one going on here. Yeah. One of the most remarkable facts about water is its power to carry silt or finely divided soil in suspension. When there is a heavy rain, when water flows, what it does, along with it, water will carry soil in the upper portion of the earth crust. Upper layer of the soil will get mixed up with the water and it will move. That is the capacity of the water. As it goes on moving, along with it, soil will also move. And that soil gets mixed up. How does it? It will very small particles of the soil will slowly one by one, in a huge number, they get mixed up with the water and it will move. When one from one area to the other area, water goes on moving. So the soil in this area will move to the other area. So this is how it goes on. This is the origin of the characteristic color of the water in rain-fed tanks. Rain-fed tanks. What is rain-fed tank? That water body which is just depend on rain for its water. If there is no rain, if there is no flow of the water towards it, there will be no water in the tank. So as water goes on moving, along with it, it will carry soil, finely divided soil, suspension, small particles. So what is it? He is talking about the color of the water in the rain-fed tanks. So what water does, as it carries soil with it, water in the tank will also get the same color of the soil. This color varies with the nature of the earth in the catchment area and is most vivid immediately after a fresh inflow following rain. Soon after rain, water moves in the entire catchment area. Catchment area is that from whatever area the tank gets water in the entire area. However, the soil along with the water moves, and in this tank, particularly in that tank, the color of the water will depend on the color of the soil. Somewhere we come across very brown color, reddish color. So the same color you will find here because that soil has got mixed up with the water in this. Swiftly flowing water can carry fairly large and heavy particles. The finest particles, however, remain floating within the liquid in spite of their greater density and are, of course, extremely small, but their number is also great. What happens as water moves in the slopy area? As it goes on moving, along with it, it will carry soil. So finely divided small particles of the soil will get mixed up with the water and it will keep on moving from one area to the other area. So there what happens? The soil erosion takes place, soil erosion. So from one area, one place to the other place, it goes on moving. And the smaller particles of the soil, 1, 2, 3, you cannot count. That will be in heavy, large number, very huge number of particles will move with the water. Then the flow of water has undoubtedly played a great part and a beneficent one in the geological process by which the soil on the Earth's surface has been formed from the rocks of its crust. How the soil formation has taken place. huge particles of the soil will get mixed up, go on melting as it goes on raining. Bigger, harder soil will get mixed up with the water, and slowly keep on moving. So many years formation of the soil. It's not a day or two. Then the same agency, however, under appropriate conditions, can also play a destructive part and wash away the soil, which is the foundation of all agriculture, and if allowed to proceed unchecked, can have the most disastrous effects on the life of the country. What he is talking about here is soil erosion, how soil erosion takes place. Soil erosion, if it is allowed, it's not a small issue, it's not a small problem. Farmers will face a big difficulty as soil goes on moving from one place to the other place. That's why farmers are suggested every now and then you need to take care of your land. There must be bunds at the end. So then, if it is unchecked, soil erosion is not stopped, what will happen? It will slowly, it will affect the farmer's life in the sense there will be no fertile soil in his land. He will not be able to grow anything properly. The soil moves to the other land. So it goes on moving. If you do not take precautionary measures to stop soil erosion, if it is unchecked, then definitely this farmer will have problem, next farmer will have problem, next farmer will have problem, so all farmers will have problem. So the entire thing will be in problem. So that you need to be very careful and try your level best to stop soil erosion so that you can maintain the fertile quality of the land. The problem of soil erosion is one of serious import in various countries and especially in many parts of India. See, talking about the entire world, wherever you go, everywhere this is a huge problem. Whenever there is a heavy rain, you are bounded to lose little amount of the soil. You cannot do anything. You are helpless. But you can't sit quiet. You can't totally remain helpless. You have to do one or the other thing. So it's not only in other countries, even in India, in many parts of India, you come across this problem. The conditions under which it occurs and the measures by which it can be checked deserves the closest study. What author says here, in what sort of conditions soil erosion takes place and how do you stop? How do you stop it? What he says, he says that it needs a close study. Study in the sense, first you go thoroughly look at the landscape, how soil is moving along with the water, and see that how it can be stopped. So that's how you have to move on. Soil erosion occurs in successive steps. What are the steps? How soil erosion takes place? The earliest of which may easily pass unnoticed. In the beginning, see that when there is little amount of rain, soil gets mixed up with the water and it will move from one place to the other place. You may not notice it. You may not notice it, how it is going to influence your life. In the later stages, the cutting up of washing away of the earth is only too painfully apparent in the formation of deep gullies and ravines, which make all agriculture impossible. If it is allowed, in the early stages itself, if you do not take precautionary measures to stop soil erosion, it may cause the bigger difficulties. So as you allow the water to flow, it forms big gullies, ravines. There will be small passages will lead to very huge passages of the water, and there huge nala formation, gullies or ravines, what you say. There will be huge amount of water will flow. It carries lot of soil with it. So you cannot stop in the later stages. Entire land is cut off. If there is formation of a gully or any ravine, big flow of the water, what it does, it will carry huge amount of soil with it, and there agriculture will be almost impossible in the later stages. That's why before something goes wrong, you need to be very careful, and precautionary measures must be taken to stop soil erosion. Sudden burst of excessively heavy rain resulting in a large runoff of surplus water are the principal factors in causing soil erosion. This is one. You cannot say what happens, you don't know when there will be heavy rain. If there is heavy rain, all of a sudden, then huge amount of soil will go off. When it happens, you cannot predict, especially when it is rainy season. Farmers need to be very careful well in advance. What steps to be taken, those all must be taken, and try your level best. Farmers should try his level best to stop soil erosion. The main thing when soil erosion takes place, heavy rainfall is one thing. Then contributory causes are what are the other one thing? If there is heavy rainfall, soil erosion happens. What are the other contributory? Which are the other ways where soil erosion happens, where soil erosion takes place? Main, which are the other factors contributing to soil erosion is slope of the land. If land is sloping, here, if it is a mountain or any slopy land, something like this, water moves very easily here. If water is allowed to move, it will move in the downward direction. As it goes on moving, it will carry all the soil what is present here. It will keep on moving, and this part of the land will become totally barren. Here, there you will not be able to grow anything. Even you need not have a mountain there to get soil to happen this one. So even if it is a small slope anywhere, so water moves from upper portions to the lower ones. As it moves towards it, the soil here, all that will move to this area. So this, if you want to stop it, proper checks must be done. Removal of the natural protective coat of vegetation. Yeah, another important thing, which is the other contributory factor for soil erosion. As we take a lot of uninterrupted ways to cut off the natural vegetation, if you remove all the, you cut off all the trees and other things, so that is another contributory factor where soil erosion takes place. And the entire natural vegetation is removed, then no doubt there will be a lot of soil erosion. The existence of ruts along which the water can flow with rapidly gathering movement. So if there is a formation of gully or rut, what happens there? Soil moves very fast. Sorry, water moves very fast. As water moves with a high speed, soil will also go up. And the absence of any checks to such flow, if there is no check, if you have done nothing to stop the flow of water, then it will add some more momentum, then huge amount of soil will goes off with the water. Incredibly large quantities of precious soil can be washed away if such conditions exist, as is unhappily too often the case. So these are one thing. Which are the factors for soil erosion? One thing, heavy rain. Heavy rain. The other is slope of the land. Slope of the land, and then removal of natural vegetation. Removal of the coat of natural vegetation. Then, so absence of any checks. Absence of any checks. It means absence of any checks. It means, see, if you have done nothing to stop the flow of water, if there is no wall, if there is no check dam, if there is no bund, you just allow the water to move, then that will also cause a lot of problem here. Then coming to ninth paragraph, the menace which soil erosion presents to the continuance of successful agriculture is an alarming one in many parts of India, calling urgently for the attention and preventive action. If you take no precautionary measures to stop soil erosion, what happens? So there will be, it's as he says here, it's already alarming, a big threat, as you have not taken any care to stop soil erosion. The terracing of the land, the construction of bunds to check the flow of water, the practice of counter cultivation, and the planting of appropriate types of vegetation are almost the measures that have been suggested. What are the measures suggested to stop soil erosion? One thing, the terracing of the land. Go for in the slopy regions. You might have seen somewhere while moving around in bus or train, somewhere you will come across, if there is a huge slope of the land, you might have seen land being arranged in this way. Farmers will make a bund here, and somehow this will be planned up to this, and again here something. This is called terracing of the land. If there is a check, if there is a bund here, it will, as water goes on, if there is another check here, so as water moves in the downward direction, this bund will stop the flow of the water. It will stop, it will hold. It will just hold the water. As it speed of the water gets reduced, and again here it gets reduced, here it gets reduced, or even making some portions like dividing the land in this manner, allowing the water to flow from one plot to the other plot, so that it will help the soil erosion. It will help to stop. The other thing, you go for counter cultivation. If this is done, so what happens? Upper portion of the soil land will become very soft. So then it will absorb huge amount of water in it. This will also stop flow of the soil erosion. Then bunds, making some bunds here. So when portions of the land, so slowly, if this thing is done, bund, that will also stop. Then these are the, and going for huge number of plants. If you plant many saplings everywhere in a continuance, that will also stop soil erosion. Then it is obvious that the aim should be to check the flow of water at the earliest possible stage before it has acquired any appreciable momentum and correspondingly large destructive power. If you don't take precautionary measures in the beginning itself, then it will cause a lot of destruction, and huge amount of soil will get mixed up with the water, and in a large number, in a huge amount, soil erosion takes place. What is the basis of all life? Every animal and every plant contains a substantial proportion of free or combined water in its body. No doubt, human body is made up with water. There is huge amount of water. Even every animal has huge amount of water in its body. Even plants will also have some amount of water in them, and no kind of physiological activity is possible in which The fluid does not play an essential part. Without water, no chemical activities will take place in your body. Without water, life is not possible at all. Then water is of course necessary for animal life, while moisture in the soil is equally imperative for the for life and growth of plants and trees. How water is necessary for human body? Without water, you cannot live. Without water, you cannot live. In the same manner, water content in the soil, moisture in the soil is necessary for every plant. The preservation and utilization of water is thus fundamental for human welfare. Preservation, how do you store water? How do you stock it? How do you maintain it? How do you preserve it for future? You need to take very safeguarding methods. How do you store water? Storing as well as utilizing it is very much necessary. This is the fundamental necessary of human life. Apart from artesian water, the ultimate source in all cases is rain or snowfall. How do you get water? We are depend on rainfall or snowfall. That is the main source of water. Much of Indian agriculture depends on seasonal rainfall and is therefore very sensitive to any failure or irregularity of the same. Still, we are a developing country. Larger part of Indian farmers are depend on rainfall for their agriculture, and thus this is very sensitive matter. When there is heavy rainfall, you are under loss. When there is no rainfall, you are under loss. Then what measures have to be taken? So there must be certain ways where you will utilize the water whenever there is heavy rainfall. How do you store it and how do you utilize it? What are the places where do you store? Where do you store water? So in modern days, we have come across, we have built up so many dams where huge amount of water is stored and that is utilized for the agricultural purposes, for industrial purposes, and so many other, for drinking purpose, so many other purposes are there. We make use of that water. But still, though there are so many dams, it's not sufficient. Still more scientific methods, scientific approach is quite necessary for Indians for the utilization of water. If it is not done, then definitely our growth will be hindered. Apart from, then much of Indian agriculture depends on seasonal rainfall and is therefore very, as I told you, very sensitive one to any failure or irregularity of the same. The problems of soil erosion and of inadequate or irregular rainfall are closely connected with each other. Heavy rain, problem of soil erosion and of inadequate or irregular rainfall are closely connected with each other. It's clear that the adoption of techniques preventing soil erosion would also help to conserve and keep the water where it is wanted. In other words, on and in the soil, and such techniques therefore serve a double purpose here. See, there are various ways. Soil, you need to stop soil erosion, and at the same time you need to use water for various sources. Utilization of water for your future, and at the same time stopping soil erosion as well. Two purposes can be served. You can stop soil erosion and at the same time you can utilize water for various purposes in future. You don't lose water and you don't lose soil also, if you have very scientific approach towards it. It is evident, however, that in a country having only a seasonal rainfall, an immense quantity of rainwater must necessarily run off the ground. We are entirely dependent on seasonal rainfall. What happens whenever there is heavy rainfall? Huge amount of water will go off. The collection and utilization of this water is therefore vital importance. We must consider what step must be taken. Collection and utilization of water. How do you collect? Whenever there is heavy rainfall, where do you collect water? It's not a simple thing. You cannot just collect some 10 liter, 20 liter, or 30, 100, or 1 gallon, 2 gallon water. You are going to do nothing with that. It won't be enough. Where do you collect water? There must be huge water bodies. So where you collect huge amount of water so that that can be utilized in the future. Collection and utilization of this water. Which water? Rainwater. That has to be done. Much of it flows down into the streams and rivers and ultimately finds its way to the sea. Where does it go? First, there is huge rainfall and it will get mixed up with the streams to rivers, then rivers to ocean, seas. So that's how water goes up. If it is stopped, if it is collected, then the water can be used for various other purposes. Incredibly large quantities of the precious fluid are thus lost to the country. Precious fluid is water here. This is a big loss to the country. You are a developing country. Agriculture is the backbone of your economy. So what we have to do? We have to take care. It is not only the responsibility of government. It is the responsibility of each and everybody how to save water and how to use it for the future. It is said in the beginning of the topic itself, if at all Third World War takes place, it will take place for the sake of water. Water is such precious liquid. We need to be very careful in this matter. Everybody has to contribute one or the other thing. Everyone has to. Incredibly large quantities of the precious fluid are thus lost to the country. And when it comes specially, dear children, most of the times we remain irresponsible in most of the matters. Now, Abraham Lincoln said that don't think that what society has given to me, what you have given to society. Now, in the nation building, we all have our own role to play. Government will go on making so many policies. Yes, it doesn't mean that policies are implemented. How do you implement the policy? People have to, morality of the people must be, you need to have your own role in that. You need to be very careful. You need to follow rules and regulations. Following rules and regulation is nothing but being responsible citizen. You have your own civic duties. You have to maintain all this. You have your duty towards your environment. You have duty toward, as you have your own responsibility towards your family, in the same manner as a useful member of the society, you have your own responsibility towards everything. Wherever you go, you are a responsible person. What is possible from your side, that has to be done by you. The harnessing of our rivers, the waters of which now mostly run to waste, is a great national problem which must be considered and dealt with on national lines. See, this is not a small issue. Wastage of water is not a small issue. It is a national problem. National problem can be solved only when every person living in the country contributes. Everyone does something towards it. Only then it can be solved. Not just policy makers cannot do anything until and unless people of the country people of the country play their own role in it. Then vast areas of land which at present are mere scrub jungles could be turned into fertile and prosperous country by courageous and well-planned action. There must be well-planned action. Now, at the how, see that every village is a unit. Every small village is a unit, and every village goes on contributing something towards it. You have your own plan how to collect water and how to utilize it. You have, looking at you, other village learns, looking at you, other village, looking at you, other village, one by one, one by one, one by one. If we all, with unity, if we all make up our own plans and execute it, definitely soil erosion can be stopped. Definitely, collection of water can be done, utilization of water can be planned, because without water, life is not at all possible. Agriculture is not at all possible. So you need to have your own plans here. Closely connected with the conservation of water supplies is the problem of afforestation. The systematic planting of suitable trees in every possible or even in impossible areas, and the development of what one can call civilized forest. What is this impossible area here? Plantation must take place on either side of the road, on either side of the river banks, in your own land, on everywhere you go on planting and planting and planting. So planting helps you in various ways. Planting contributes so much to your economy. Planting contributes so much to stop soil erosion, collection of water, utilization of water. So that if there is a perfect plan, as you move very closer to nature, nature comes very closer to you, then you will be able to understand the problems existing there. So as you understand the problem, no doubt you will never keep quiet. You will contribute something for it. And uh, in this process, definitely you help and you will get help there. Systematic planting in the what is said here, impossible areas where man cannot easily reach, in huge mountains, in huge forests, there must be systematically everything must be done. Then, as distinguished from wild and untamed jungles where still man is not able to go, where you have still not occupied. So even there, go somehow reach that land by means of any way. You reach and plant something there, some trees there, is one of the most urgent needs of India. See, even untamed jungles must also be taken care by us. If you go on taking care of every part of the country, then no doubt out of which we will get something. Such plantation would directly and indirectly prove a source of untold wealth to the country. They would check soil erosion and conserve the rainfall of the country from flowing away to waste. Here, if the quota of natural vegetation is increased, quota of the natural vegetation is increased. If large number, huge amount of plantation takes place, then it will help in soil erosion. It will stop soil erosion. So, knowingly or unknowingly, we will be benefited. The measures necessary to control the movement of water and conserve the supplies of it can also serve subsidiary purposes of value to the life of the countryside. Even everywhere, even in villages also, people get benefited by this. By far, the cheapest form of the internal transport in a country is by boats and barges through canals and rivers. Transportation, there are various ways for transporting. It's not only by road, even by through rivers also you can transport things. By means of air you can. We hear much about programs of rail and road construction, but far too little about the development of internal waterways in India. See, transportation through water is considered as the cheapest one. Land transportation is bit difficult, and transportation by means of air is also very difficult. Transportation through water is very cheap, that has to be motivated. Then again, the harvesting of water supplies usually also makes possible the development of hydroelectric powers can also be done. If we take precautionary measures and huge amount of water is collected, so hydroelectric power can also be done. The availability of electric power would make a tremendous difference to the life of the countryside and enable the rural economy to be improved in various directions. If power supply is available, current is available to every farmer 24/7, 24 hours if it is available, so submersible pumps can be used, water can be utilized in a right way, lot of land can be irrigated. So when huge amount of land is irrigated, no doubt farmers conditions will improve, and no doubt when farmers condition improves, every individuals economical conditions improve, then no doubt he will contribute so much to the development of the nation. In particular, it would enable underground water to be tapped to a greater extent than at present, and thus help to overcome the difficulties arising from irregularities or inadequacy of other sources of supply. So if there is a proper plan, collection and utilization of water is done, economic conditions will improve, agricultural productions will be more. If agriculture production is more, then you will not depend on other countries, other nations. So you will overcome. So many people do not get food 2 times a day. That problem can be solved very easily. Most of the things are possible by agriculture, since agriculture is the backbone of Indian economy. In one sense, water is the commonest liquids, very cheaply, very easily available liquid is water today. In another sense, it is the most uncommon of liquids with amazing properties which are responsible for its unique power of maintaining animal and plant life. This is the common, very commonest liquid among the commons, but at the same time uncommon, because the properties of water are so wonderful that the entire life, animal, plant, human life, everything is depend on it. Animal and plant life is totally depend on it. So that the amazing properties of water is this, life itself is depend on it. The investigation of the nature and properties of water is therefore of the highest scientific interest and is far from an exhausted field of research. So look at the collection and utilization of water. It's a continuous process. Once it is done, and next you need not to do anything, nothing like that. You have to be very careful every year. Whenever there is rainy season, you need to be very careful. You need to maintain the water tanks, water bodies, that has to be cleaned properly. Proper care must be taken. In the first or second paragraph, you have seen author saying in southern India there are huge number of water bodies, lakes, sadly neglected. No care is taken. Though maximum of us, we are dependent on these water bodies, lakes, but we do not care them. Though we are dependent on them, those are the main sources of water for agriculture. Still, we neglect them. As we neglect, automatically we neglect ourselves. Development itself is neglected. Growth itself is neglected. Improvement itself is neglected. And then no doubt your economy will go down. So to help oneself, to help ourselves, what we have to do, we need to care. We need to protect water. We need to go for so many preventive precautionary measures. By what means we can stop soil erosion, how we can collect water, how we can use it. If there is a scientific approach, then no doubt agriculture will improve, fertile lands will be stored for the future generations. Otherwise, you will definitely bounded to face lots of difficulties. So this is the end of the second topic, the elixir of life. Further, its textual grammar and question answers will be discussed in the next class. Thank you so much.